Hello, this is Arthur again, and today I have a 1982 Mercedes-Benz 380 SEC. This is the 126 body car. It's the Coupe, which is pretty rare. It wasn't made that many of them. They did make it for a long period of time, about 11 years or so, and this is one of the earlier examples. It is in pretty nice condition. It does have few changes made onto it compared to the original one. It does need few things done, and we're gonna address it in this video, and I'm gonna show you some of the parts I have for it. But first I'm gonna go around and show you around the car. It's a pretty nice looking car. Let's check it out. Okay, let's take a look at this beautiful Mercedes. As I mentioned, it is a 1982. As you can see, if you're familiar with these older Mercedeses, they had different headlights in the US market cars, which had this small plastic trim window around it, like a small plastic light, and then light that was flat and sitting in, and it didn't really look very appealing. This is the European version lights, and they look really pretty. They are glass, of course. The car is in this beautiful pearl white color. I believe it's been repainted, but it does look very nice. I'm not sure if it's the original color to the car. It might be, actually. Also, it does have this very nice 17-inch AMG wheels, which are very period correct, and they look really nice on this car. It is currently at the ride height, the stock ride height, I believe. Might lower it a little bit in the future, but for now it's gonna stay at that height. The interior is dark blue, which I think works really good with this color. A lot of 80s cars had this weird interior colors: blue, red, burgundy, brown, and this one is not an exception. The interior was redone on this car recently, and it is actually a pretty good job. It is missing a few things here and there, which we're going to address sometime soon. The headliner was redone as well. One interesting thing about this example, that it doesn't have a sunroof. I've never seen one that doesn't have a sunroof. They all have sunroofs. I'm not sure this one, how was it optioned that it doesn't have one. And it does have the 1982 85 miles an hour speedo. It does show 71,000 miles. I'm not sure if it's accurate or not. Let's take a look at the back. It does have a AMG spoiler on it. This car actually has a AMG spoiler in the front too, but it's currently at the body shop getting some work done to it, and it's gonna go back on it. As you can see, it's a 380 SEC, which is the lowest horsepower version of this car, 155 horsepower. And you can tell actually when you're driving it, it's a little sluggish feeling, especially compared to a 500 or a 560. I've driven them before, and those are a lot more livelier, but it's an older car, so it's okay, I guess. Right, let me show you the parts that I have for it. Here are the parts that I have. This car has some oil leaks. I checked it, and it does have an oil leak from the right side valve cover. Left side is not leaking currently, so we're gonna do the right side. Also, it looks like it has an oil leak from the oil filter housing. We're going to replace the gasket there. It is missing one exhaust hanger. We got a new one from Mercedes, as well as have new sway bar bushings for the rear axle and links, as the ones on the car are making a lot of noise. I do have a new transmission mount, as well as windshield wipers, and I do have a new reservoir, which I'm going to bring out in a little bit, and a plug for the reservoir. So, alright, let's begin. Okay, I have the valve cover removed, and it's actually pretty easy to remove the valve covers on these cars. It's only 4 bolts. It's not like the newer cars that has like 100 bolts. The gasket does feel a little dried out, a little flat. Not too bad, but it looks like it's been there for a while. I'm gonna clean this up a little bit and then put the new gasket on. One thing I noticed that this hose over here wasn't connected to anything, and there's another one that comes from the intake and it's open as well. I'm guessing they should be connecting to each other, and for some reason they're not connected. I'm gonna look into that. I'm not too familiar with this car, older models. Okay, next I'm going to clean up around the mating surface. She's clean, dry. Okay, I have the valve cover on. This was the line I was talking about, and looks like maybe this car has the vacuum pump delete or something, the smoke pump, and that's what probably was getting connected to the smoke pump. I'm not sure, but I looked at some other pictures of these cars, and it looks like a lot of them have this disconnected, so I'm just gonna leave it as is, as it is running fine at the moment. If there's an issue, we can address it. Okay, here I have the oil filter housing. I did remove the oil filter, and the oil drained into the oil pan. Once I did that, there are a couple of connectors here. There's actually only one small one over here. I'm guessing some kind of oil pressure or something. I'm going to remove this one, and then there are 3 13mm bolts all around holding the actual housing in place. Put a little drain catch can under it to catch the oil in case it drips. For 2 of the bolts, I'm going to use a short 1/4-inch ratchet to be able to reach the bolts, as they're kind of hidden. And this one seems to do the job. And let me see the other one if I can reach. There's this little strut here that holds the engine up, and it's kind of getting away, but actually you can access it. Here I have the oil filter housing out. You can tell it did leak some oil out. The gasket on it is here, I think, but it's very dried out. It's like a paper gasket. I have a new one that I'm going to install, so I'm going to scrape this one off and then clean up the area and clean up the housing a little bit and the engine as well in the area, and I'm gonna put that back on. Oil filter housing gasket has been replaced. I just need to put the oil filter back in. I will add a little bit of oil in there as well. Next, I'm going to do the transmission mount. Okay, transmission mount has some pretty significant cracks over here. It's held by two 13s on the bottom, and also there is a 19mm nut on top, which seems to be kind of difficult to access. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to support the transmission with a jack. I'll remove these two 13s. Drop the transmission down possibly a little bit. Not the transmission, but the bracket. Remove the bracket. Remember the orientation. Should goes back in the same way. Such. Other mount, just very cracked. Now this 19 over here kind of goes into under the greeble, so you gotta sneak it in under here. Okay, now I'm going to do a first start. Okay, going to check for leaks, make sure nothing's leaking. No coolant leaks. Okay. This updated reservoir for some reason wasn't fitting very well in here. This old one, it kind of has a curve over here, where the new one doesn't as much. It is the original part, and I believe it is the correct part for this car, but I don't know why it wasn't fitting very well. What I ended up doing, well, I tried putting it kind of on top of this, but then I noticed that I think it's too close to the hood. I put something here to measure, and it is actually was touching the hood, so I had to put him back in its place where it was. But what I did is I had to move this wiring harness to the side a little bit because it was getting in the way of this reservoir. It was kind of leaning against it. Now it sits good, and the hood closes well, no problems. So I don't know what is up with that, but it is working now, so we're good with that. Alright, that's about it for this car as of now. It will probably need some more work in the future, but for now this is the only things we want to do to this car, mechanically at least, and we addressed those issues. Everything went smooth. The only issue I was having was the coolant reservoir, as I explained, but as far as all the other stuff goes, it is fine. The car is in really nice condition. It is an older car, 42 years old, so you expect some stuff, you know, it be misplaced and stuff, but this one is actually in pretty good shape. I did enjoy working on it. Please comment, like, and subscribe. There are more videos to come. Thank you.